Hello and a very warm welcome. In this 11th video of this series, we are going to discuss the syllabus and topics of plant breeding and biotechnology. These two topics should be covered once you are done with genetics. And I'm sure by now you would have covered genetics if you have been following and acting upon this series. Genetics we covered in the 10th video of this series, and now let us discuss the scope of these two topics. Apart from these two topics, I have also included the syllabus of morphogenesis from paper 1. If you recall, while discussing paper 1, I had not discussed morphogenesis syllabus and topics. The reason is the topics of morphogenesis, actually majority of the topics of morphogenesis are from the field of plant tissue culture, and plant tissue culture is closer in its scope to plant biotechnology. So when you start plant biotechnology, you should be covering plant morphogenesis as well. So I have included these three areas, although on the cover slide I have not mentioned morphogenesis, but morphogenesis is also covered within this video. Each one of these areas is quite a small, syllabus is well defined, questions are direct. As a result, this video may be a little shorter than other videos of this series. You should ideally be taking about 1 week's time to cover the entire syllabus, and the sources are also pretty well defined, which we are going to discuss towards the end of the video. Let's first start with what kind of weightage this area gets in the syllabus. This is the chart that you have got. In yellow color shaded region, you have got breeding, biotechnology, and biostats. If you remove the biostats, then breeding and biotechnology will be getting approximately 8% weightage in the overall paper 2. Seen that way, it has a small weightage, but that does not make it unimportant at all. The reason is you will be finding questions from breeding and biotechnology within compulsory question number 1. That means you cannot ignore any single topic of breeding and biotechnology. And there is no reason to ignore it either. The thing is, the topics are quite easy to understand, retain. There is nothing much to memorize. And the answers, if you write simply in a structured manner, can be very marks fetching as well. So this is the area where with very limited effort, you can be sure of higher rewards. We are going to start with the analysis of plant breeding syllabus, and then we will be moving to the syllabus of biotechnology, and we will be including the topics of morphogenesis as well. Let us see the plant breeding syllabus. So plant breeding syllabus, if you see, can be broken into 4 big parts. The first part of plant breeding syllabus is methods of plant breeding. So in methods of plant breeding, what are the methods that you have to study? You have to study these 4. Introduction of plants, plant varieties. Second, selection and hybridization, within which you have to study pedigree method, backcross method, mass selection method, and bulk method. The questions have always been extremely straight from these areas. There is no deviation from the topic as it has been mentioned in the syllabus, and most often they will ask you to describe a method and its applications. So a common format can be adopted here. And what is the common format to do each one of the topics that is mentioned above? So in this common format, there has to be 7 areas which you will be including. First, what is this method all about? You can consider this area as introduction to a method. Let us say you are describing bulk method. So you will be mentioning here what is bulk method and a little about its history, so on. Second, under what conditions you need bulk method. So here you will be dealing with the need part. Third, the basic principle of bulk method. Each method of plant breeding is having its root in some genetic principle. More importantly, within the principles of transmission genetics. So, what is the basic genetic principle on which this particular method is based? Fourth, how do we operate the method? It can be bulk method, it can be mass selection. So, how do we basically operate this part? Next, what are its advantages compared to other methods? And then, what are the application areas? And here you can be giving some specific applications. That means certain hybrid varieties which have been produced by applying this particular method, any method that is listed above. Finally, there can be no method which is without limitation. So in the last, you will be discussing the limitations of a particular method. This is the first part where there are subtopics, and subtopics we have already discussed. The second topic is male sterility. Male sterility is a topic that we had discussed within genetics also. So a little bit of repeat here, but it is important to be repeated. So first, what is the genetic basis of male sterility? Remember that male sterility has got both genetic and physiological basis. Within breeding, you have to focus upon genetic basis only. Once you have given a broad idea of what is the genetic basis of male sterility, you should be dealing with individually the three genetic bases. Genic, that means it is based on nuclear genes. Cytoplasmic, it means it is based on organellar genes, to be precise mitochondrial genes, and cytoplasmic genic, where male sterility is often caused by the organellar genes and restorer function is located within the nuclear genome. Each method you have to explain clearly. After that, you will also be dealing how do we apply each mode of male sterility for hybrid seed production. In other words, how you will be planning your breeding so that using genic male sterility you can produce hybrid seed. How would you be planning hybrid seed production using cytoplasmic male sterility, and how you would be planning hybrid seed production using cytoplasmic genic male sterility. After doing all of these, you will be discussing the applications of male sterility in plant breeding. And this is something where you can again give the real example, and do not forget to mention male sterility brought about by transgenic technology. One of the examples of transgenic male sterility is GM mustard, which has been in news for past several years. So GM mustard uses transgenic method to produce male sterile mustard so that hybridization can be carried out easily in mustard. So this is male sterility all about. My feeling is that you should be preparing transgenic technology based male sterility as a separate short note. Given the news GM mustard has been in, you should be not surprised if you get asked a short note on transgenic technology's role in male sterility. Once you are done with that, the next topic is heterosis breeding. So in heterosis breeding, you will be starting with the basic concepts of inbreeding depression and hybrid vigor. Once you have defined both of these with one basic example each, you should be coming to inbreeding depression and what causes inbreeding depression. It can be a standalone short note, especially in Indian Forest Service examination. After this, you should be defining what is heterosis and what are the manifestations of heterosis. Means if a plant variety is displaying heterosis, what will be the features this plant variety will be displaying. Then you come to different causes of heterosis. Taken together, heterosis and its different causes has already been asked as a short note. Then you will be coming to how we go on to breed for heterosis. How do we develop heterosis in a certain line? You will be explaining the heterosis breeding method in detail, and this is the technical part which you have to do in detail, and you can be expecting a short note here also. Lastly, limitation of heterosis breeding approach you have to identify very clearly. Last topic is again a repeat from paper 1. In paper 1, within embryology, you have studied apomixis. Now here you have to deal with role of apomixis in plant breeding. So to cover this part, you can go back to paper 1, where within embryology you had studied what is apomixis, what are the principal types of apomixis, and within each principal type what are the subtypes. So this is already I have mentioned that you have to refer to embryology coverage. Once you are done with that, you should be looking for its applications in the field of plant breeding. There are several applications, there are several advantages offered by apomixis. The point is that apomixis allows you seed production without proper fertilization. That way, theoretically speaking, it is an excellent tool, excellent phenomenon by which you can conserve the superior variety without the possibility of inbreeding depression. But in how many plant species, in how many varieties have we been able to implement it, and what are the works which are happening at present? These are the things you will have to get into with some real example. When you are reading from a good book, all these examples will be easily found, so you don't have to worry. And towards the end of this discussion, I am also going to deal with what are the sources that you should be looking into. So well, this is the entire syllabus of plant breeding. So 4 important areas of plant breeding. Methods of plant breeding were introduction, selection and hybridization, and within that pedigree, backcross, mass selection and bulk method have to be covered. You will be studying male sterility, which has slight overlap with male sterility in genetics that you have to study. After that, you will do heterosis breeding, and finally apomixis in plant breeding. You can easily see that if you have got a good resource, you can finish this entire topic in 3 sittings. So that is half of the week. In the remaining 4 days of a week, you can cover biotechnology and morphogenesis. So what you are seeing on your board right now, on the top you have got morphogenesis, and towards the lower side, lower half of the slide, you have got plant biotechnology. You should be starting with morphogenesis first. Morphogenesis is an important part of paper 1, and this is where you should start. So first and foremost, there are 4 topics of core morphogenesis. All other topics are related to plant tissue culture. So the 4 topics which are related to core morphogenesis include totipotency in the context of plant development, that how certain cells can give rise to the entire plant body, and at least if not the entire plant body, then at least the plant tissue. So that is totipotency. What are the types of totipotency? How totipotency manifests itself? How do we control totipotency? And finally, what are the applications of totipotency? Within this topic, these are the subheadings that you should be doing. After that, polarity in the context of plant morphogenesis. So when the embryo is growing, what all polarity does it have? How polarity manifests itself during the course of during the course of overall embryonic development. And then finally, how polarity is controlled. Polarity has got hormonal control, polarity has got genetic control. So how all of this is controlled, we have to see. Then we talk about symmetry. Plant development is highly symmetrical. It has got left-right symmetry, it has got apical basal symmetry, it has got dorsoventral symmetry. So what are the plant parts where we find symmetric organization? What are the determinants of symmetry, genetic determinants, hormonal determinants, and finally, how symmetry helps the plant? Last topic is differentiation. A little bit of differentiation you have already studied under plant anatomy, where you had to study the topics of xylem and phloem differentiation. The xylem and phloem differentiation which you had studied in anatomy can be used here as example, but first and foremost you should be understanding the basics of cytodifferentiation. Means how an undifferentiated plant cell goes on to differentiate itself and acquire functional and structural specialization. That is the meaning of differentiation, that how a generalized nascent plant cell can get into the structural and functional changes, and finally it emerges as a functionally and structurally specialized cell. That is called differentiation. And if it is a terminally differentiated cell, in that case it will not even be displaying any cell division under normal conditions at least. After these four basic topics of plant morphogenesis, all other topics that you see here on the screen under morphogenesis are the tissue culture topics. And plant biotechnology textbooks have got excellent coverage of tissue culture, so you can easily cover all of these topics. So first and foremost, you will be dealing with cell culture. How do we go about culturing the cell? What are the variants of cell culture? And what are the applications of cell culture? Similarly, tissue culture. What is it? What all types of plant tissue can be cultured? What about the nutrient medium within which it is cultured? What is the basic protocol? What are the basic variants of tissue culture? It can be meristem culture. So within meristem culture, you can have apical meristem culture, you can have root meristem culture. You can also get tissues from other parts of the plant than what are meristematic, and you can make them divide again by hormonal stimuli. So those are the various cultures. Then you will also be getting into organ culture. Certain plant organs can be cultured. How do we go about isolating the plant organ? How do we remove all the contaminants from the surface? How do we plan the nutrient medium? How do we culture it? Finally, what are the variants of it? What are the applications of it? Lastly, protoplast culture. In protoplast culture, how do we isolate the protoplast? How do we check the viability of the protoplast? How do we culture the protoplast so that they do not develop the wall and they retain the wall-less status, that is protoplast. So in all of these topics, your approach should be, what is this method? That's first. Then nutrient medium. What kind of nutrient medium are you selecting? Then what is the method or protocol? In protocol, you can go for general protocol in the beginning. After that, what are the variants here? And certain variants need to be done in detail. After this, applications. And whenever you write applications, they will be incomplete without examples. So do give examples. And finally, what are the limitations. So for all these topics, this is the general plan of the answer. So for cell, tissue, organ and protoplast culture, these are the 6 headings under which you have to do, and certain types of variants can be done in detail. Then within morphogenesis, 2 topics which are most important happen to be somatic hybrids and cybrids, somaclonal variations and its applications, and if you want me to add at least 2 more other very important and repeated topics, they will be protoplast culture and micropropagation. So somatic hybrid and cybrid should be seen as extension of protoplast culture. Once we have isolated protoplast, we can be interested in causing fusion of these protoplasts and producing genetic hybrid cells. When we do not produce nuclear genetic hybrid and we retain the nucleus from only one of the parent, but we retain the cytoplasmic genome from both the parent, such kind of protoplast fusion products are known as cybrids. So in somatic hybrids, you will notice that there are 2 protoplasts and they fuse entirely together, whereas in cybrid, one of the protoplast is without its nucleus, whereas the other protoplast is with its nucleus. So this one is going to be called cybrids and this one is somatic hybrid. This is an ultra simple outline of what is somatic hybrid and what is a cybrid. You will certainly need to get into greater detail how somatic hybrids are produced, what are the objectives of producing somatic hybrid, what have been the applications of somatic hybrid. Similarly, how do we produce cybrids, what are the objectives of producing cybrids, and lastly, how cybrids are different from somatic hybrids. This is one of the oft repeated questions to differentiate between cybrids and somatic hybrids. Of course, I'm repeating myself, but when you are discussing the application areas, there are so many real examples where somatic hybrids have been of great help to plant breeders, and similarly, cybrids have also given some very unique character to varieties. Do mention those examples. Without that, your answer will look a little incomplete. Next topic happens to be micropropagation. So micropropagation is a specialized branch of plant tissue culture where you propagate plants totally in vitro. So here the idea is to create a big clonal population of superior variety plants entirely in vitro using the plant tissue cultures. So how do we go about micropropagating? So first you have to focus upon the methods. So what is micropropagation? Why micropropagation is needed? And then you will come to methods. So again you will be talking about nutrient medium, the culture protocol, certain related terms like inducing differentiation where the varying concentration of auxin and cytokinins will be responsible for forming roots, responsible for forming shoot system, and finally how do you go about hardening and introducing the micropropagated plant in the field. Then you will be discussing the application areas of micropropagation with real examples from both forest trees as well as the crop plants. Next topic is somaclonal variations. So in somaclonal variation, you will be discussing how cloned cells can still develop new variations, new features compared to their predecessors. That is called somaclonal variation. So what kind of somaclonal variations are known? What kind of somaclonal variations we see in well studied plants. Then you will get into the various theories why somaclonal variations arise. Once you have dealt with the various theories of how somaclonal variations arise, then you will come to the applications of somaclonal variations. This is, as I have already marked it with star, that means it is quite an important topic. Then there are two very small topics from where direct questions are asked. Pollen haploids. So this is about generating haploid plants by using pollens as the starting material. What is pollen haploid? Define that. After that, what is the method by which we go on to produce a haploid plant using pollens? Then, why we develop pollen haploids? What have been the applications? Give examples. Similarly, embryo rescue. What is embryo rescue? Under what conditions embryo rescue is needed? After that, you will be discussing the methods of embryo rescue. Finally, applications with example. If you sit down to do all these topics with a good book, in 2 days' time you can prepare all the short notes that I am advising you. After that, you will be coming to the core biotechnology topics which are mentioned in paper 2 syllabus. So biotechnology topics are divided into two parts. First and foremost, proper biotechnology, and then certain tools and techniques. My suggestion is that you should be doing tools and techniques first, and then you should be doing other topics of core biotechnology. Within tools and techniques, you have got probes. So probes are single-stranded nucleic acids which are used to identify the DNA or RNA with a certain sequence which we are looking for. How do we prepare the probes? What are the types of probes? How do we apply the probes? And what have been the applications of probe? Next, Southern blotting. Southern blotting is a probe-based method to detect DNA or RNA with a specific sequence. It is one of the molecular diagnostic methods, and it is one of the oldest methods of how we go about DNA profiling. Again, what is this method? What is the basic principle behind this method? How do we operate this method? What have been the applications? You will then come to DNA fingerprinting. In DNA fingerprinting, of course, the other name is DNA profiling. We look for variations within the DNA samples, and based on certain unique variations of DNA sample, we try to establish the identity of individuals, or in case of plants, identity of plant varieties, using those very unique variations that we can find in certain varieties but not in all other varieties. DNA fingerprinting, the oldest approach was based on certainly Southern blotting, but now we have got various other methods, including PCR based methods of DNA fingerprinting. So you need to know both the traditional approach of DNA fingerprinting, at the same time the DNA fingerprinting using more modern tools. Next topic is PCR, and the final topic is fluorescence in situ hybridization. This is again a probe, fluorescent tagged probe based method to identify specific sequences within intact chromosomes. But first let's talk about polymerase chain reaction. So polymerase chain reaction is a rapid automated DNA amplification method using the thermal cycling approach. So polymerase chain reaction, first and foremost, how it was originally developed and how polymerase chain reaction runs to amplify the DNA segment which is desired. You will be discussing the entire principle, and after that you will be discussing the requirements as well as the tools. Requirement as in nucleotides, specific primers, then heat resistant DNA polymerase like Taq polymerase or PFU polymerase, and how do we go about thermal cycling. All of this After this, a very important addition in this topic is going to be what are the major variations of DNA PCR technology, and here you must be learning RT-PCR. RT-PCR has been one of the big foundation of COVID detection nowadays, but you will be surprised to know that even when most of the people had not heard of RT-PCR, the UPSC had asked a short note in Botany paper 2 about RT-PCR. So you need to do all the major variants of PCR technology, and finally you will be talking about the applications of PCR. The last one, fish, the basic idea of which I had just now given. So in fluorescence in situ hybridization, what is the method all about? How do we go about carrying out a fish-based DNA mapping, chromosome mapping, and what are the variants of fish that also you need to know, and finally applications. Once you are done with that, you will be coming with the transgenic technology and some of the related technology. First topic is DNA sequencing. In DNA sequencing, you should be doing both Gilbert and Maxam method. It is also called Maxam-Gilbert. So Gilbert and Maxam method that you have to do. At the same time, you should be doing Frederick-Sanger's method. Both the methods have been asked in the examination, and you need to do them as separate short notes. Then you should be doing genetic engineering, methods of transfer of genes. Here the methods of transfer of gene should be done both with respect to plants as well as bacterial cells. Next topic is transgenic crops. Here you are going to discuss again how do we develop transgenic crops. You will be first talking about what are transgenic crops, then what are the major approaches to develop transgenic crops. So agrobacterium method is there, particle bombardment based method is there, and then there are certain minor methods. Discuss all the methods. Then come to certain specific examples of transgenic plants. How have they been produced? What were their proposed or purported benefits? How they are performing in the field? So on. Next topic is pretty much related to transgenic plants, that is biosafety aspects. Each transgenic plant may cause certain biosafety related issues in the ecosystem. What are those biosafety related issues? You have to clearly mention that. Last but not the least, you will also be discussing what are the statutory and other institutional mechanisms to ensure biosafety both globally as well as with respect to India. So globally we have got Cartagena Protocol under the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. So Cartagena Protocol essentially deals with the transboundary movement of living modified organisms, in simple English, transgenic organisms. They can threaten the local biological diversity, and there must be certain cautionary principles which should be applied when transboundary movement of living modified organism is taking place. That's the crux of Cartagena Protocol. Apart from that, domestically, we have got mechanisms under Biological Diversity Act. At the same time, you have got provisions, rules framed under Environmental Protection Act 1986. One such rule is Rules 1989, where the threat caused by transgenic organism has been dealt in detail, and what can be the tools, what can be the mechanisms which must be followed, that also gets mentioned. In India, we also have got Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee that works under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So that is an advisory committee that looks into the organisms as well as products of genetic engineering, and that reviews it extensively from the angle of biosafety as well as human health. And then it makes recommendation to the ministry whether a transgenic variety or a product of transgenic organism should be allowed in the market, should be allowed in the field, so on. All these mechanisms will be coming under biosafety aspect. This is a detailed topic. You should be preparing accordingly. The last topic is molecular markers. So molecular markers have actually accelerated and to an extent revolutionized the field of conventional plant breeding. In this topic, you should first be dealing with what are the molecular markers, how do we use them. Then you will be going about discussing the molecular marker, their types in some detail. Once you are done with that, then you will be coming to how molecular markers have been applied in the field of plant breeding and how have they revolutionized the field of plant breeding. Give some real applications with example. That answer will be appearing complete to the examiner. So well, taken together, biotechnology should be taking another 2 days and you will be done with both morphogenesis and biotechnology. And prior to that, in about 3 days, you should have finished plant breeding. That is all about plant breeding, biotechnology, as well as morphogenesis from paper 1. Let's talk about the resources now. There are 2 books that you ought to have with yourself. One is Plant Breeding by Dr. B.D. Singh. This is perhaps the most authoritative book on plant breeding written by an Indian author. This book is quite extensive, but you need to focus upon only the topics which have been mentioned in your syllabus. And then your focus should be to take out material which are good enough to make a good informative short note, nothing more than that. The second book is recommended for plant biotechnology, that is by Dr. H.C. Chawla. This book very nicely covers all the aspects of plant tissue culture, so much of the morphogenesis will be covered here. And then this book also covers molecular biotechnology, including transgenic plants. So these 2 books, both by Indian authors, will prove to be amply sufficient. The first 4 topics, totipotency, symmetry, polarity, and differentiation, should ideally be done from embryology textbook by Bhojwani and Bhatnagar, the textbook that I had recommended when I was covering embryology syllabus. So from there, you can do the 4 core topics of morphogenesis. For all the topics of tissue culture and molecular plant biotechnology, you have got S.C. Chawla's book, and for breeding, you have got Dr. B.D. Singh's book. Taken together, both these books will prove to be amply sufficient. And as always, if you want a little concise and at one place everything compiled kind of material, you have got evolution study material. Whenever you are getting evolution study material, make sure that you are getting directly from evolution only. These material are not being sold by evolution at any other online platform, including Amazon and Flipkart. So if you decide to use evolution study material, make sure that you are getting it directly from evolution. You can visit evolution website and inquire more about it. So this is the roadmap for preparing biotechnology and plant breeding. I hope, like all other videos, you found this video helpful. Till we meet again, goodbye and good luck to all of you.